Let's talk about typos. Most are harmless, but what if a single misplaced letter nearly ended the world? In 1983, a simple software bug almost convinced the Soviet Union that World War III had begun. This isn't fiction, it's the true story of how one man's doubt saved humanity. The world was a powder keg, America and the Soviet Union. Fingers on nuclear triggers, thousands of warheads ready to launch. The Soviets relied on a new satellite system for early warning, a system they believed was foolproof. Enter Stanislav Petrov, a lieutenant colonel filling in for a sick colleague in a secret bunker outside Moscow. His job: monitor the screens, and if the alarm sounded, report a nuclear attack up the chain. That night, the sirens blared. The screen flashed, launch. Protocol said retaliate. The system screamed that 5 American missiles were incoming. Every light was red. Every drill said to pick up the phone and start the end of the world. But Petrov hesitated. He looked at the data and thought, this doesn't make sense. In that moment, he chose to trust his gut over the machine. That decision, one man's doubt, became humanity's lifeline. A typo in the code, a cascade of errors, and a single human's intuition stood between us and oblivion. Sometimes, the smallest mistakes have the biggest consequences. And sometimes, the right person is in the right place at the right time. To grasp the terror of that night, you need to understand 1983, the Cold War at its peak. Reagan called the Soviets the evil empire and ramped up military spending, fueling paranoia in Moscow. Just weeks before, a Soviet jet shot down a civilian airliner, killing 269 people, including a US congressman. Outrage and suspicion soared. The Soviets believed the US was preparing a nuclear strike. Communication broke down. Trust vanished. Both sides saw monsters in the shadows. The Soviet leadership, led by the suspicious Yuri Andropov, was on high alert, convinced an attack was imminent. Every military move was scrutinized for hidden meaning. When the alarm went off in Petrov's bunker, it wasn't just a technical glitch. It was the spark in a room full of gasoline. Any other officer might have followed protocol and started a war. The world was primed for disaster. Context was everything. The Soviets' pride was OCO, the Eye, a satellite network meant to spot US missile launches. Its job: detect rocket launches and give Moscow a 30-minute warning. But technology is only as good as its code, and OCO had a fatal flaw. A programmer's typo changed a crucial AND to an OR, making the system trigger on a single suspicious signal instead of multiple confirmations. It was like needing a passport, ticket and visa to board a plane, or just one of them. On that night, sunlight reflected off clouds fooled OCO's sensors. The system saw a flash near US missile bases and, thanks to the typo, sounded the alarm. No cross-checks, no waiting for confirmation. The infallible Eye was tricked by a sunbeam. A tiny coding error turned a safeguard into a hair trigger. The world's fate hung on a single line of code, and the machine screamed for war. Petrov settled in for a routine night, but the calm shattered as the siren wailed and the screen flashed. Launch. Soldiers froze. Training kicked in. This was the nightmare scenario. The system reported 1 missile, then 2, then 5, each update escalating the panic. Protocol demanded Petrov report the attack, triggering a chain reaction to nuclear war. The computer insisted this was real, coordinated and imminent. Every piece of data screamed apocalypse. His subordinates shouted for action, and the red screen pulsed like a heartbeat. All Petrov had to do was pick up the phone and confirm the attack. If he did, Soviet missiles would launch before the incoming ones even landed. The pressure was unimaginable, but Petrov hesitated. He questioned the logic, the data, the machine. In that moment, the world teetered on the edge. Would he trust the system or his own doubt? The fate of billions rested on his next move. Sometimes, the hardest thing is to do nothing. Amid chaos, Petrov thought instead of reacting. Why only 5 missiles? A real first strike would be massive, not minimal. The scenario made no strategic sense. It was a bare poke, not a knockout blow. Petrov's logic told him this was a mistake, not Armageddon. He checked other data. The ground-based radars were silent. Only the new satellite system screamed danger. The old systems saw nothing. Protocol said, trust the satellite. But Petrov trusted his gut. He made the call. The system was malfunctioning. He told his superiors to stand down. He staked his life, and everyone else's, on human judgment over machine certainty. It was the biggest gamble in history, and he bet it all on doubt. After Petrov's call, the bunker was silent except for blaring alarms. If he was wrong, nuclear war would begin in 18 minutes. Every second was agony. His team watched, unsure if he'd saved or doomed them. The computer still screamed, "Launch," but ground radar saw nothing. Each minute with empty radar screens brought hope. The predicted impact time came and went. Nothing happened. No explosions. No war. Petrov's gamble paid off. The system was wrong. There was no attack. The world survived because one man trusted his instincts over a machine. In the aftermath, the truth was clear. A single human decision had prevented World War III. Sometimes, survival depends on doubt, and on the courage to say, "I don't believe the machine." Petrov was right. You'd think Petrov would be celebrated as a hero. He wasn't. The Soviet military was embarrassed. He'd broken protocol and exposed a fatal flaw in their prize system. Instead of medals, he faced interrogation and bureaucratic punishment for a paperwork error. The incident was classified. Petrov's role erased from official records. Investigators found the bug, the infamous and-to-OR typo, rushed software, and a perfect storm of bad code and rare conditions. Worse, they found similar flaws elsewhere in the system. The entire nuclear command structure was built on shaky code. Petrov was quietly reassigned, then retired early, his health broken by stress. His story was buried for years. The man who saved the world faded into obscurity. Sometimes, heroes are hidden by history. The 1983 incident wasn't unique. Both superpowers have nearly started nuclear war over computer glitches. In 1979, a NORAD simulation was mistaken for a real attack. In 1980, a faulty chip triggered false alarms twice. Each time, disaster was averted by double-checking or sheer luck. In 1995, Russia nearly launched nukes over a Norwegian science rocket because a warning message got lost. The systems meant to keep us safe are fragile, vulnerable to typos, hardware failures, and lost paperwork. Even in 2018, Hawaii panicked over a false missile alert caused by a drop-down menu error. Imagine that mistake in a nuclear silo. The pattern is clear. Our safety depends on imperfect technology and fallible humans. We've survived so far by luck and judgment. But luck isn't a plan. The next glitch could be the last. The margin for error is razor thin. Russian roulette with digital bullets. Today, our systems are faster and more complex, but not necessarily safer. Much of the world's nuclear command still runs on outdated tech, vulnerable to both decay and cyber attack. Upgrading is risky, not upgrading is riskier. Automation is removing humans from the loop, shrinking the window for doubt. The lesson of Petrov is clear. Our last defense isn't code, it's human wisdom. He saved the world by questioning, by doubting, by seeing beyond the data. An automated system would have launched. Next time, will there be a Petrov in the chair or just an algorithm? Relying on luck isn't a strategy. It's a gamble with everything at stake.